Omar,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
welcome. Yeah, welcome back to my show. I really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
you
me
taking the
again.
time. Yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time out to help me build this channel.
Yes,
Obviously, I started over a year ago, and you were one of my first guests to help me
yes.
launch this channel. I can safely say I've gone over 7,000 subscribers.
Good, that's good.
Yes, thank you. And obviously, somebody out there is appreciating what the value that I'm bringing to them. Assistance from persons like yourself and Basil and others that I've interviewed so far to give a lot of people an oversight of what happens behind the scenes at dealerships
Yeah,
and car dealers in particularly. You are a car dealer, so what
yeah.
I want for you now is, to explain to our potential customers out there what it is that you do, and also we'll get more into some of the questions that I want to ask of you.
Good.
So remind
Oh,
everyone who you are again.
definitely. All right, so my name is Omar Wilson. I run a leasing broker, auto broker business. Okay? I'm just going to classify it as an auto broker business. That entity does brokering for pre-owned cars and brand new cars. I also have the capacity, or I'm in another capacity where I work inside a dealership as a finance manager. That's what I'm bringing here to you. The perspective from myself working in these entities. All right, and that's what I'm here to do. Any questions involving buying car, the process of getting a car, um, customers, so on and so forth. Mhm.
You're a auto dealer online, and you also have your location where customers can come and choose
There you
whatever
go.
car they want,
Definitely.
because of course a lot of dealers, well, Ford just announced that they're going full online now with their EVs. So I suppose that later on, smaller players in the industry such as yourself will be joining that
Yes.
evolution really, really soon.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to outline now quick, as much as possible, outline the various steps needed to purchase a vehicle. What is it that, the average man walking inside coming to you, what does he
Mhm.
need to purchase a car?
First of all, I'm going to talk in the capacity of the salesperson and the finance manager that's at a brick and mortar dealership. Customer comes in, well, there's multiple avenues in which the customer could actually be introduced to us, the dealership, right?
Mhm.
It could be through some internet advertisement, it could be through referral, and it could be just a walk-in, right? I'm going to do it from the walk-in. Customer walks in, he's interested in a particular car. There might be some interest, whether it be, he's seen a car on the street and like that particular car comes in. One of the first things that we do, if they're interested in a car, they would come in and fill out an application for the car, right? What we call a credit app.
Yeah.
They'll fill out a credit app. The credit application gives us it's a window for us to actually see what that customer's profile is like, right?
Okay.
It's an introduction to know how we're going to approach this particular customer as far as getting them approved, what kind of car will work based on their interests and so on and so forth, right? So we take an application, and the application is to actually do a credit check,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Which is
State
important.
application,
Yeah.
yeah. And some of the details are going to take in application. We verify it's the actual person, right? Identification, that's one. We make sure we identify, all right, they show their ID. Person filling out this application looks like this person on the license, and they fill out application. Some of the details that we need in the application: name, address, how long they live at their home, they're paying rent or not paying rent, if it's a mortgage, so on. Job, how long they've been on the job, how much money they're making on the job, right?
Yeah.
The time on the job. But those things are factors that are very important in making a decision as far as how that person gets approved, right? So we take the application, we do a credit check. When we do that credit check, credit checks, typically any dealership, and I'm going to talk for dealerships here in New York, right?
Right.
And it sort of falls in the same category across the board all over the United States because we are somewhat linked to a particular portal that pretty much all the dealers are familiar with, right? It's a
Right.
system where we go in, we run a credit, we're able to run that credit, and that credit comes back to us within an instant, right? So when we take that credit up, we're running that credit, we're able to know right there on the spot what the credit is like.
Yeah.
We go by the score, we go by what's on the credit, time on the credit, and some of the debts, meaning if they're excessive, if it's under, if their usage is under a certain percentage, so on and so forth. An experienced finance manager like myself, once you take a look at the application, right, and you take a look at the credit, based on what I would see in front of me, would help me to determine if the car that our customer came in on would be viable, would be possible for me to get them into, right?
Right. Right.
So the minute I see that application, see that credit, I'm able now to make a determination or gauge somewhat if this car would be a car that they would qualify for through the bank, right?
Yeah.
Most experienced finance managers like myself, and I've been doing this a long time, right? A lot of years. Banks over time, and even though they change programs every month, they tend to stay within a certain guideline in a sense, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Certain banks stay within a certain guidelines. You have the banks that are going to be the prime banks, which are like for people who have perfect credit, great credit, whatever it is.
Right.
Then you have the ones who are subprime, which
So
are
yeah.
the not so great credit,
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
See, yeah,
So
similar to mortgage companies. Yeah.
yeah, so when we see that application, we already know based on what we see, hey, this person is subprime, and depending on what car they're looking at, another factor that's a very it's a huge decision maker when it comes to where we're going to go with that application is the kind of money that they're putting down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I could further go into that, but that's another topic in itself. But when we take the application and look at our credit, we're able to see and determine which direction we're going with it, what banks we're going to submit it through in order to get an approval. Now, most, and pretty much when I say most dealerships, registered, licensed dealership across all the state, if they have access to this portal and they're submitting deals, they're able to get an approval within minutes.
Okay. Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're able to now, what we call spot a deal. We could spot a deal on the spot, depending on what the situation is. If the customer has all the details, everything is ready to go, we could do a spot. They get insurance and so on and so forth. Now, some of the details that involve in taking a credit application and before submitting it, we want to purify, say for example, income. Income is a very important thing.
Yeah,
right?
of course. Yeah, they want to know if you're viable enough or
Yeah,
financial
if they can afford
stability
this
to,
car.
yeah, if you can afford a car,
Exactly.
of course. Yeah.
So we look at income. We look at the application. We look at the income. If that person, for example, and this doesn't fall across the board for everyone, right? If that person comes into me and we look at that application, they give us the application, they give us all the details on here. They're working, I don't know, for one of the shipping companies, whatever, right? And they're saying to me, well, that shipping company, they're making $200,000, delivering packages.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look a little weird, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
we could decipher what's going to make sense from what won't make sense. So the minute when we see that application and that person is saying, I'm a package handler, but I'm making $200,000, we already know that doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go further into wanting to see that pay stub, which is the proof of that income. All right. It's called a proof of income. The reason why we want to get that is because at times when we submit the application, right, and this is where the purifying comes in. When we're submitting the application, if you're putting on that application this kind of information that you're a package handler, you're working only 20 hours a week, and you're making $200,000 a year, it's not going to look good when that application goes over through that portal onto the other side to the bank.
Right.
Because the system is tweaked in a certain way to actually pick up a little bit of what doesn't make sense. You understand? In some cases, a customer, they will say, all right, you know what? We're trusting that this customer is going to bring the document back, send the document over to us, you know, pay stub or proof of residence, whatever it is. So they'll let the car roll out.
Right.
They'll you sign, you know, you get everything, the customer leaves with the understanding that this customer needs to bring in a pay stub, bring in, you know, proof of residence. What happens some of the times is the customer does not understand the intricate details that go into getting the money for that car that they just signed for.
Right.
So what happens is that customer takes the car out, they're gone, they're signed, they drove out, they're thinking everything is all done. No need for me to call or send back pay stub or send back a proof of resident. Why? Because as far as they're concerned, this car is now theirs. They signed for it, they left the deposit, they gave insurance, and they're out of there. And if you start going into the details of it, I could break it down for you. So now,
yeah, please do, because I mean, it's nice for them to have the choice.
Exactly.
Because remember, you know, a few moments from now, people will be able to sit down in the comfort of their, you know, their own bedroom right now, and they'll be able to, you know, go online, click, bam, 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 and then the tow truck shows up at their doorstep with the brand new car.
Exactly. So that's what my business does in a sense, right? So LFC Autos, that's a capacity that company operates under. So what it does, it pretty much facilitates that process. You could sit right there in your bedroom. You reach out to LFC Autos. You say, listen, I'm looking for that 2022 Mercedes GLS. It's got to be white. It's got to be with the black interior. And if you could throw in the kitchen sink for me, that'd be great. You know?
Right.
But what we do is we pretty much source the car through one of our dealer networks, which is in that network of Mercedes dealerships that we do business with.